Steve Vai is way too good at guitar to be human. Hey guys, back with a Minute of Drew, and in the first edition of this segment, side note, go watch the first episode of Gear Guys as well as all the others. I talked about Steve Vai injuring his hand and needing surgery afterwards for playing a difficult guitar chord for too long. And you know what, Mr. Vai? I personally apologize for making fun of you for straining your hand while sitting on a painful guitar chord for like 20 minutes. Steve Vai, like the guitar god he is, can literally do whatever he wants to himself. For example, take away literally half of the appendages he needs to do what he does, and still be better than most guitar players in the world. Like, really, how unreal is that? He doesn't even need 2 arms to be one of the best guitar players to have existed in history. Just listen to his new song Knapsack and tell me Steve Vai is of this earth, because I am 100% convinced that Steve Vai is from a planet where all they do is play guitar 24 hours a day since the age of 3. Anyway, this week on the show, Jack interviews Gene Baker about his historic career as well as the new line of B3 guitars. Hope you guys like it. See ya.
Hey guys, it's Jack with Gear Guys, and again, I'm still blown away that they haven't shut the lights off yet. We're getting into another episode of Gear Guys, and today we have a legend on the show. We have Gene Baker, and we got Michael as well from B3. Man, we're going to be talking B3 guitars and also a lot about Gene because he's just done so much in the industry that some people aren't aware of, and I know there's a lot of brand confusions with some of his old brands, and we're going to clear that all up today. But before we get started, this is a Deco presentation of Gear Guys podcast. Deco Entertainment is the label I work for, and we work with some great artists. And we also do vinyl pressing and CD pressing and T-shirts and all types of cool stuff. So stop by decoentertainment.com and check it out. And Novell. Novell is a leader in fine jewelry for since 1988, specializing in wedding and engagement. So if you're getting married, know someone does, go to NovellDesignStudio.com or NovellGlobal.com. And a customer service representative will help take your order because it's only sold in stores. We have an algorithm built for guitar players. If you screwed up and your significant other says, oh no, I'm not talking to you, and you've now bought a guitar, this algorithm will tell you how much you have to pay to get out of trouble. So stop by, give us a call, have a lot of fun. Without any further ado, dude, it's been so long since we spoke, and I'm a fan, so this is always weird when I talk to you. I love your work. Ladies and gentlemen, Gene Baker. I'm going to shut up. He's going to tell you all about his history and how he got to where he is today, but he's probably going to blow our ears out with some guitar right now.
Yikes!
Actually sounded great.
Where do you want to start?
Your history, bro.
All right. Well, this goes way back to a little kid. I started playing guitar about 5. Didn't get my first official guitar about 7. But then around 11, I actually had a next door neighbor moved in and started giving me guitar lessons that happened to teach at a local ice rink in Michigan. So anyhow, fast forward, 11th grade on, junior high, high school, just ate wood shop up. Just I was building guitars as much as I can, even in high school, junior high as well. But from there, I was just on a quest. So when I was around, basically once I got out of high school, I went into GIT, MIT Musicians Institute down south. And, I was, at first I went in really shy, but I came out pretty much a lunatic. Or at least you got a lot more comfortable in your own skin, which was a really good thing, just to get confident in yourself. But it was a great eye-opening experience. So anyhow, from there, I moved to Alabama for a little bit. I was already starting to build some guitars at Robbins Music out in Huntsville, Alabama. After about a year, I returned to California and started at Ernie Ball. From there, I was just a kid that was sanding. So I was just trying to learn all I could from guitars. But meanwhile, I was still building guitars at home. So, I just ate, slept, drank guitars. So anyhow, let's see. Came to a point where I started looking in Los Angeles for jobs, and I was looking at everything from music retailers to, guys building racks and whatever and rigs. Trying to think a lot of the different places. LA Music at the time, I think, was a big one. Nadine's Music. Anyhow, I ended up getting a job at Gibson. And it took about 6 months for the job to actually come about, because Roger Giffen had to get Gibson's approval from Nashville, as we were a satellite office in first we were in North Hollywood, and later we moved to Burbank into the old Tobias Bass Factory. But Gibson was great. We repaired guitars, and we also built a very small amount of guitars, or sometimes we had customized a lot of things. Everything from like a double neck for Slash. I think it was for September Rain video or something like that at the time. Anyhow, Gibson was really cool because I had a mentor that I could really learn from, and plus I was having all these vintage Fenders and Gibsons. There was times we had like 6 real 59, 58 Les Pauls, or even Lenny Kravitz or Keith Richards Les Pauls in the house. Flying V's, Explorers. So I was just kid in a candy store eating up all this vintage detail. In doing a lot of the repairs that we did at Gibson, we worked on Fenders for a lot of the local studio cats. So we stayed in touch with the Fender custom shop because sometimes we needed parts. So eventually it came to a point we knew Gibson was going to close our shop down because we were too small of a shop, and they had us in a massive building that would probably take 100 employees to pay for. So I knocked on Fender's door. Ralph Esposito at the time was the guy I was talking to a lot. God rest his soul. Love that man. Anyhow, he invited me and Roger Giffen to Fender. And at the time, I was just getting ready to get married. Gibson said, you can move to Nashville if you want. I was like, no, thank you. I want to stay in California. So ended up at Fender. And right out the gate, there's a lot of things going on because the custom shop was so new and fresh. There was extension cords all over the floor. Steve Stern was just building benches at the time. He hadn't even started the archtop division. So I was just learning. I was doing buffing, fret dressing, and everything in the set neck department. A lot of Les Paul Juniors we were building at the time. Not Les Paul Juniors, excuse me, Telly Juniors. It was a really cool guitar at the time, too. So that was a blast to get involved with that. But shortly thereafter, they started the archtop, which involved Robin Ford and the Diakisto models. And so me being the Gibson guy, they said, well, Gene can build a Gibson. So I was assigned the Robin Ford project. And that lasted me about a year through all the prototyping, working with Robin. We ended up developing 3 different models by the time it was all said and done. Then they said, hey, we need more master builders because we got too many, one-off orders for, a lot of the wild stuff. So Jay Black was pretty much the headhunter in the shop, and he would kind of look for talent and guys that, got along with everyone, or plus you had to talk with dealers, you had to talk with customers before you built any guitar. So there was always a major guitar lingo you had to have and understand and basically build what the customer wanted. So that was beautiful. So at that point, we started building all kinds of wild stuff, from double necks, Rosewood Tellys, Paisleys. We were even starting, the Showmaster series, which was all the carved top and like the dinky contemporary struts that we're doing in the custom shop. I was heavily involved in the release of the big Peghead 66 through like 69 strats. I always loved just the big Peghead, and the production line wasn't building them right at the time. They were doing an adaptation of the original Fender headstock and just making it bigger, but it wasn't right. So a lot of the guys in the custom shop just really liked digging, doing it the hard way, and so we made a lot of things ourselves on a lot of old machinery that we had there. So anyhow, Fender, I was there for a strong 6 years. I got re-invited back for the 30th anniversary of the custom shop just a couple years ago, where we brought what we call the Stellarcaster, which is a hybrid of a 50s Strat and Telly, basically merged 50-50 right up the middle. So that was really cool. It was kind of like that movie Space Cowboys, all the geriatric astronauts coming back to see what they can do.
Nice.
So it was just a blast. What else after Fender though? The custom shop was changing, and a lot of master builders were getting a bunch of support. And at that time I said, well, if I'm going to do that, I might as well put my own name on the guitar. So Baker Guitars was born. So we moved up to Santa Maria. Me and best buddy Gil Vasquez was my right-hand man on a lot of that stuff. and we literally started the company in his garage 2 years before I left Fender. So my original SL model was built right in his garage, right on the garage floor with a piece of cardboard and a pencil.
That's awesome.
What else can I think of? So with Baker guitars, you know, it was all basically born on this model with a lot of variations, hollow bodies, Les Paul Jr. flat top styles.
And real quick, for those of us that are just hearing this that aren't seeing the audio, the guitar has a very similar look to if you were to take the best qualities of a Paul Reed Smith and the best qualities of a double cut Les Paul mirrored on almost a Stratocaster shape. That's an arch top, has a belly relief, but it doesn't have the arm cut. Set neck, almost looks like a Gibson Les Paul Jr. set neck. Is it a long neck tenon or a short neck tenon?
We actually do both, but it's actually a short scale, Gibson scale length.
Yeah, it's sexy. Excuse my language. It's sexy. It is a sexy guitar. But we'll have photos up. Just sorry to cut you off. Just some people are only going to get the audio. But
sure. Cover up that horn and it's almost a Les Paul.
Almost.
But, you know, I fell in love with the Les Paul. So to me, when we created this model, it was a collision of Fender and Gibson. Kind of same thing Paul Reed Smith was doing. But for me, I really wanted to lean on like the 59 Les Paul reshoe kind of vibe. You know, using more mahogany, less maple. We were using a lot of Brazilian back in the early days as well, which luckily we still had a good access to for a while. We were doing a lot of the original 17-degree headstocks, which you'll see a little bit later coming up on our 59.
Do you do a scarf joint?
No. These are single-piece necks.
Single. That's risky with that angle, man. That'll break. You got to do that right. That's good.
That's so true. Yeah, always looking for the right wood, of course. Mm-hmm. Those 17s, you got to keep them quarters on. With the shallower angles, you can get away with a lot less, like almost everybody does. But we haven't had any problem with the shorter ones. And then I think I've only seen one busted on a 17 in my life so far. So, knock on wood.
Yeah, right.
So Baker Guitars lasted for roughly 5 years, and then we closed down. And during that, Ed Roman happened to buy the brand name up in a liquidation sale. I had no association with Ed whatsoever, so he just got a trademark logo from the bank, and that was it. From there, we had been building him a special model that he called the Bushwhacker, which was like a 24 fret thing, a deeper scallop cutaway and thinner body. He was trying to make a PRS really at that point. And so that was an exclusive thing we did for him. And so that's what he released as his Ed Roman Korean models, which I believe are made out of Samek or something in Korea.
Samek Factory's not that
I have
bad.
nothing to do with that.
Yeah, excuse me. No, so, I mean, they're not your standards. I want to defend them because there's a level for every guitar that's out there. And the things that come out of the old Samek Factory, folks, they're good for under $1,000. They're good for
sure.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, put them through a plec, you can learn on it, but it's not a B3 guitar. It's not a Baker guitar. You know, it's a totally different thing.
No, I mean, that factory definitely has some quality stuff for the price point for sure. Yeah. Without a doubt. Yeah.
But yeah, so I just want to make that clear that the guitars we're about to talk about have nothing to do with what we're talking about now. It's to clarify the fact that a company was purchased. And just like if you were, you owned a restaurant and you sold the restaurant, they kept the name. You got a new cook and a new manager. The food may taste like shit, but be the same price. So just keep that in mind. I can say that. It's not politically correct for you to say that, but, why don't you tell us about the differences real quick before we move on that you've seen in the quality control come out of that compared to your guitars?
Boy, a lot of it you can compare to almost anything that's a $5.99 like Schecter on that wall compared to one of these. Just with a lot of the imports, you're seeing a lot of thick polyester paint jobs, cheap hardware, cheap electronics. Just a lot of the materials are just kind of crap. A lot of scarf joints, a lot of multiple piece bodies, veneers for tops. So they're saving every single penny they can when you're dealing with a lot of these imports. So with us, it's, we're completely starting from the tree. So we're getting, large boards and, just whittling it down.
As you
But
should.
we make everything in house, you know, from the all of our inlay work, you know, we do here. We do everything here. So it's like that's kind of the best way to do it. If you're going to do it, just do it all. Otherwise, you can't really own it completely. And so what else can I say?
Oh, we're going to get into the specs later, and we're going to dive
Right.
into them and have fun.
Sure.
So, you know, when after Baker and, you know, you had the liquidation and the company was sold to someone else, I was first turned on to your work at the Builders Guild because I had worked with someone to build me a D'Angelico. So, you know, it was one of the most impressive things I've ever heard about a group of people is that, you know, all these folks got together in one location and it was like building a super group of musicians, but for us geeks, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
it was a great idea.
yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah.
why don't you let folks know what you did there? Because I just find this absolutely remarkable.
That all came together because of Cliff Cotreri for the most part out at Destroy Guitars, and now he's in Fuguay, Varnia, North Carolina. But Cliff was always like hand selecting what he thought was the best boutique amp guys, pedal guys, guitar guys on the planet, and guys that were kind of like really making a difference in just musicians' tools being a better place to be. So at the time, this was right when the market was crashing, 2008. The economy was just tanking. So we were still a very small shop. We went from like 5 guys down to 2 at that point. And so I was talking with Cliff, and Cliff said, well, what would you do? I said, man, I'd really want to find a guy that's got some attorney skills, some really strong business management skills, and has got a lot of money that can really do this correctly. And he goes, I know 2 guys, but I'm going to get one guy in particular. And so he brought in Michael Bernstein, which then they started gathering all the other kind of parts of the puzzle. Because he wanted to create departments of excellence. So there was basically the amplifier department and the guitar department. And he didn't want to have 7 different factories, so they wanted to just have the 2 different factories. And so Two Rock was involved, as well as Tone King amplifiers. Even Bob Gija was involved in the early stages. But on guitars, there's a lot of guitars going on. We had Johann Gustafsson, Roger Giffen, Saul Cole, Dennis Fano, Jason Schroeder. Then we brought in D'Angelico doing their basically their master built arch tops, you know, recreating from originals. It was pretty impressive getting into that, but
Yeah.
it was just quite a team.
The D'Angelico that I have is by far the best instrument that I own. You know, I shouldn't say it's the best example of an arch top guitar that I own. I own a bunch of guitars, and it just you don't just feel it in your gut. You know, when you're playing an instrument and it makes you more creative, it's right.
Yeah.
And that guitar
Right.
does that, and it speaks. She feeds back and she squeals like a son of a bitch when you plug her in, but she's supposed to. There's no
Sure.
masking qualities. I mean, it's absolutely, it's the best example of a jazz arch top. I use it as a drum in songs. That guitar is in every single track that I put down. I'm playing with the snare, even if it's not necessary, because the harmonics it adds to it. So yeah,
Nice.
I love that
Amen.
stuff. Yeah, and the Builders Guild, I got to give them credit, man. That big boost of boutique guitars that you saw all these, you know, people writing about, podcasting about, changing the scope of the industry. What you guys did opened the door for everyone else. And I don't know if that's really put forward that much. And I don't think that people realize what it is. You can go online today, you can go to a trade show, and you see 3 times the amount of boutique builders because of the impact that the Builders Guild had on the market. I went to the GTR store in Edison. I'm friendly with Adam Reber from FU Tone, and he was turning me on to some instruments, and I bought my first Nags there. I ordered my D'Angelico there. And everything in their store, when you pulled it apart, was pretty much Builders Guild. And then I'd walk around Manhattan and I'd look at things that are going on. And now you can go and you can buy a guitar made from a piece of a building in Manhattan. It inspired people. And it's just,
Sure.
it's one of the biggest things that I've seen in my lifetime and pretty much in the last 20 years for the boutique market. So I got to give you props, dude. I'm a huge fan for what you guys did there, you know? So I'll
thank
fanboy back now. But you know, after that, was it straight into B3 guitars?
Well, when PPG closed down, luckily I was able to leave with my brand name because at the time, they had bought most of the brands. So unfortunately, Dennis didn't get his brand back, and so Dennis went off to create Novo guitars. But luckily,
Beautiful guitars.
and luckily I got B3 back. So I did something right. But from there, it got really interesting because my wife, shortly after that, was diagnosed with a severe breast cancer. And so that was 3 years of living hell, just kind of like just seeing her have to deal with that. And plus at the time, with Premier Builders Guild down, I no longer had an official job anymore. So it was like, uh-oh, what am I going to do? So Keith Roscoe from Greensboro, North Carolina needed a CNC programmer, and I needed a home for B3. So we made a pact, and we teamed up for 3 years, where I helped kind of design his whole jazz bass series and his P bass series and drop top jazz and P's, and even took all his entire original encyclopedia of his LGs and SKBs and trying to remember all the names. There's so many. He had so many different models, and plus we had 4-string, 5-string, 6-string, and then there was 33, 34, 35-inch scale length, multiple nut widths. It was insane the amount of custom options this bass guitar had. But so we got his entire encyclopedia into his Haas CNC, and at that time, the writing was kind of on the wall. The team wasn't the right fit, and even things for my wife wasn't working out very good in Greensboro. The work industry was terrible. Finding a job for someone in their 50s, so that didn't help. So my wife returned back to her job in California, and that was kind of like a perfect time for me to buy my brand back from Keith Roscoe, and that's when hooked up with Michael Reichenberger and the plan. And so the plan came together, and we've been working it ever since I knew I was leaving Greensboro.
No kidding. Oh, why don't we jump into Michael then? Michael, why don't you tell us about, how you guys came together exactly, and, what your role is at B3, and, the direction you guys are going in.
Yeah. Well, I've been in the industry for, 20, 25 years. And most of my experience is from retail. I had a shop in the suburbs of Chicago and ran a couple other shops and did the band stuff for a while. But Gene and I met probably, I'm guessing 16, maybe like early 2016. I was the buyer at Chicago Music Exchange. So I was buying all the guitars and amps and stuff like that. And CME was a B3 dealer when he was under the Roscoe roof. So that's how we knew each other and stuff. But I left CME a little bit before, I think, Gene was thinking about splitting with Keith. And then we ended up hooking up at the NAMM show in, I guess, January 19, right? I think. Yeah, but yeah.
Definitely wasn't 20. Or maybe
yeah.
No, 20 happened. 20 happened.
Yeah, 20 happened. No, yeah. It was January 19. And at that time I was just kind of getting back into the industry after taking a break for a while. And so I was talking about, being a salesman for the brand, and he was still over on the East Coast and talking about moving. So just, with chatting and stuff, we just kind of decided that, he wanted to relocate the shop out west, to be with his wife and stuff, and that we were just going to talk about being partners. So now we're 50-50 partners in the company. I'm currently in Chicago, but I'm going to be heading out, west here in the next few months this spring, just so we're all under the same roof. But, we've got a 2-man crew under Gene there at the shop. And so that's his gig during the day. And then I handle all the sales and marketing and web stuff and all the boring computer stuff.
And again, for people that are watching this right now, Michael is like a young Brad Pitt. I mean, he has got to be the most handsome person you're missing out. No, that beard is absolutely fantastic, bro. How long did it take you to grow that?
I got about 1.5 years on this beard. It's my COVID beard, man.
He's a rock metal bass player too.
That's really. So you guys got a little band going, huh? That's nice. It's nice.
Yeah, sure. Why not, man?
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. So where do you see the brand going? Now, I know that we're going to dive into all the models in just a few minutes, and we're almost up against the clock for commercial break. But before we dive into all the models, where do you see your brand going? Do you see people walking into a large retailer and seeing these on the shelf next to Gibson and PRS? Or is your business model more like a Kiesel, where they can order from your website and customize it? Or is it order from your website and you get what we do because what we do is perfect for the application?
It's kind of like a mixture of what you just said, but neither at the same time. So,
Cool.
we're a lot of people are familiar with Gene and with his work and with B3, but I think we're just looking to grow where people can get their hands on our instruments. So, growing our dealer network has been a big thing, and we kind of launched the new version of B3 at the January show, and then COVID hit, so things changed a little bit, but even still. Tail end of the year, we picked up a couple dealers. So I think we've got like 10 or a dozen dealers right now. It's been great. So right now you can buy guitars through a dealer, or you can also buy guitars direct. We treat our customers and then also our dealers kind of like family, so it's never going to be like a Kiesel where you can just order a guitar on our website. You actually have to have the conversation with one of us, so we can, talk to you about, what you've got, what you like, what you're looking for, that type of thing. Make sure we check all the boxes, and we're building something specifically that's going to work for your application. But we're a custom guitar company at the core, so there are some things that you'll see from us that a lot of people like, so we build a lot of them, but we do all kinds of wacky stuff too. So I think that's really like the joy for me, is just designing instruments with people and kind of working with Gene hand in hand on that whole thing.
Very cool. All right, folks. Well, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to learn all about the guitars. See you in a minute.
Here at Novell Global, we are the industry leader in fine jewelry craftsmanship. Our handcrafted and custom designed rings, meticulously crafted from the finest precious metals, are perfect for all of your needs, whether that be for an engagement, a wedding, or for everyday fashion. All of our rings are made in America and have been since 1988.
All right, folks, and we are back. If you're just joining us, we're here with Gene and Michael from B3 Guitars. And if you missed the first part of this show, go back and watch it, because it's a full history on Gene and what he's done to contribute towards the boutique market. And now we're just going to geek the hell out. So Gene has two lines, one that is American made, and he has a new line that's out there. I'm not going to spoil it. He's going to tell you all about it. But we're going to start with something that he's known for, and that's quality. It's quality. It's taking the best of different instruments and putting them together based on his design experience. So I'm going to shut up, because I'm probably going to learn something here. But Gene, I just got to remind you, the people that listen to this show will geek out. We want to know brand of tuners if you didn't make it, and the ratio, fret wire, fret radius, all the different tone woods that are involved. Everything that makes that instrument the way it is, down to the electronics. And I may geek out a few times, and I'm going to apologize in advance. So
no apologies necessary, man.
Floor is all yours. You guys just take it away, because I'm going to sit back and learn something right now.
Cool.
All right. Well, you got it. I guess I'll start right here with this here SL. This is actually going to the Guitar Guru Network. This is got a light age distressing. We're very well known for doing a lot of distressed finishes. We do them in various levels, so everything's nitro. We're not really messing around too much with many other finishes. We will on some of our more modern stuff, but for the most part, we're old school nitro, and I love lacquer. So anyhow, we got Lawler Imperials. Actually, this one here has high winds in it, now that I think of it. But typically, we're using a lot of Lawler Imperials for the most part. Tone Pros parts, so we're always using the aluminum lightweight tailpiece, just trying to keep every ounce of weight off the guitar. One thing that's kind of interesting is a lot of people, when it comes to the anchors, they use these like small, I'll call them almost like standard anchors. These things are massive. They're full, a little bit over a half-inch barrels, and they're like 1.25 inches long of just solid steel. But it's kind of goes back to an old school Gibson thing. And then later on, Schaller and everybody else started making a lot more smaller anchors. So I just find it a cool detail that it's something a lot of people don't do, and Tone Pros happens to offer. So I've been I was actually the very first Tone Pros guy ever to embrace that company. And Dwight walked into our shop one day, and he took every single Gibson style bridge and tailpiece we had and modified them, because this was before they started actually having them made by Schaller and Godot and all the other Pingwall or whoever, all the different companies that make a lot of the Gibson hardware. But I love Tone Pros hardware because your parts stay where they belong. They don't fall off when you're changing strings. Your thumb wheels don't spin when you're changing strings. That's the one thing a lot of people got to remember. Got to unlock your parts in order to adjust them. Otherwise, you can, it won't work. But things just stay solid. You don't get a bridge that rocks, especially when you're dealing with your intonation. A lot of our guitars, we used to use a lot of the buzz feet and intonation. So the Tone Pro stuff coupled with that technology just keeps everything solid. Intonation stays where it belongs. We got a really deep neck tenon on these necks. You can kind of see how thick it is from the backside here. But it also goes all the way to the end of the neck pickup. So that sucker is buried down there. Concept, just more tone, kind of going back to an early
like an R9, right? Like an R9.
Similar concept, yeah, similar concept with the long tenon, right?
Kind of. In one sense, the Gibson uses like a thing. How do I say it? It's more like a tongue.
Right.
So the fretboard will overlap. These don't. These are actually solid, big monsters all the way down to the end of the neck pickup. So it drops in really like a Fender neck in reality, just with a really long tenon.
That's sustain heaven right there, man.
Right.
Bingo.
Oh yeah.
Exactly.
The rest of it, like I always say, I always follow a Gibson recipe. So it's a full 1 3/4 mahogany billet, and then the top is just barely over 1/2 inch. It's like 550, which is coming straight from old school Gibson stuff. Even the carve, when I do our carve, I'm always thinking of an old Les Paul. So it's got to have the right kind of dish, so it looks like it might hold water if you pour it on it. What else can I think of? The neck angle is the same basically as a Gibson, so it's a 4-degree neck angle. We got a 10-degree headstock. When we get into our 59 back here, we actually have brought the 17-degree headstock back, and that becomes a really large piece of mahogany when you start.
Can I ask you real quick, when you're talking about the headstock, I know a lot of Gibson players fight that G string. How do you compensate for the tuning stability with the 3 and 3? Is that a 25 or 24 and 3/4 inch scale length?
Oh yeah, 24 and 3/4 scale length, 22 fret, 12-inch radius. This one's got, for the most part, we use 6105, a tall, skinny fret wire. We also have stainless as an option. Even when you get into the plastic, this is the right, like, old school original Gibson stuff that is really hard to find unless you know where to shop. But when people see that plastic, they just kind of bug out, if they're Gibson fanatics, because they just see it and they get it. It's not the cheap looking import crap or something.
And folks just listening, he's talking about the inlays, the pearloid inlays that are in there.
Yeah, you got it.
Absolutely period correct in shape and everything. If you do like that burst fretboard look, it's beautiful.
Ebony, for all our headstock overlays, we do offer zircote and rosewood, and sometimes we'll get into maples as well. When it comes to tuners, basically we offer the Kluson Grovers or the Grover Rotomatic. So they're all Grover related brands, which I've always felt that these are the best tuners out there for the vintage Kluson vibe out there. They just do a great job of working very well for a long period of time. And the Rotomatics, all that's coming from just some old Gibson stuff.
Yeah, it's substantial.
Yeah, that neck joint you got going down there, man, that's beautiful. How it's just the body is like a U around the neck. I mean, that's full accessibility.
That was kind of the concept, just making a more comfortable Les Paul. That with the deep tummy contour and a little more access. With you just get to the upper frets really easy and hugs your hand very, very well. What else can I think of?
What is the nut width?
It's straight up Gibson 1687, 1 5/8, or a
use
little over,
bone
11/16. Excuse me.
Are you using bone, tusk, nylon?
Actually, I'm using tusk on all their stuff, just because every time I've dealt with bone, even like with working with Robin Ford, the bone was always just kind of like it wore out too quick, and things were always sticking. You had to do too much maintenance on the road to, lubing on them or whatever you're going to do to keep them working right. But the strings just cut the bone kind of fast. Where the Tusk, even before I started getting into Tusk, I was making my own nuts out of Delrin, which Delrin they use for a lot of NASCAR suspension parts because it's high, very slippery, and nothing likes to stick to it, and it doesn't wear out hardly at all. So I was literally making my own, and then finally Tusk came about and is doing basically the same thing with their own little hybrid. But it's got a great color.
Yeah.
But even like when I was looking at a lot of the original Gibson material, the Delrin really looked very similar, but it stayed in tune excellent. So I converted a lot of guys, even Ronnie Montrose. He was stuck on bone for a long time, Robin Ford was, and I got them into using basically the Delrin at the time because Tusk wasn't even around when I first started working with those guys. So that was interesting. Even
folks, Tusk is by Graphtech if you're interested.
Yeah.
There you go. And even Delrin you can buy through most supply shops for like McMaster or Granger or MSC Direct or somebody. But I would just get a 3/16 sheet and just slice my own. The stuff works great.
Sure.
What else can I think of?
I don't think a lot of people can do that, Gene. go
Gene's like,
Graphtech.
just get a sheet. We'll just cut it up.
Yeah, no, go, for everybody else, go to Graphtech. Okay, you're not Gene.
Yeah.
But at least that's where it started. But if it doesn't stay in tune, then something ain't working right.
Exactly.
Right,
What's the
right.
binding on that? Is that a 3-5 ply? What is that? Is that natural? I can't see it on the video.
This one is all just a straight up kind of just a single cream on the neck and the body. And then for any of our, when we start getting in our distress models, we tint everything. So you give it a little bit of age. And when it comes to the finishes, we start basically with the clean, which a clean is really a non-lacquer finish, which we mainly do more on the more modern stuff like the Ringmaster series or on some of the ultra moderns as well. But when it comes to a lot of the Phoenixes and SLs, we're normally more all lacquer oriented. So you start with an extra light, which is basically just the best lacquer finish we can do. A lot of people request that we lacquer check it. So if you get this I don't know if you'll see it in this light, but if you get in the right light, there's a lot of lacquer checking on this thing. And if it's even been deglossed, because this is a light model, which goes to the next level where we literally degloss it. We start putting a couple nicks and dings in it, and just give it a little more wear and tear. Next, we move into a medium where we literally actually strip the paint off the neck, and it's just a raw wood neck, and it's all oiled up. It actually feels gorgeous.
I'm sure it does.
Sometimes we get people, requesting, I want a medium light body and I want a light neck. So you can really arrange your distressing the way you want it. We got 2 different levels of distressing I should say 3 really for hardware. You got clean, which is, brand new. And then you got light, which is basically just basically a tumbled effect, really, just to basically take the gloss edge off of it. And then when you go into medium distressing, you're starting to get into a lot of rust and stuff and really starting to get some age and
there's
wear
nothing
patterns going on.
sexier. There's nothing sexier than an old lady, right? She's been at the bars. The nicotine has turned her tan into amber. I mean, she's, for those that don't understand what I'm saying is when you're looking at a vintage guitar, there's certain things that give away someone who ages it, who relics it, and then there's natural ways of doing it and people that can mimic it. What Gene has in his hands right now is mimicking about as close to as you can get to being distressed. Now, I'm one of those weirdos that thinks that as a guitar distresses, the age, the wood takes on different properties because of the chemical breakdown of what's on there, and it gives you more of a different tonal property that we associate with vintage instruments from their tone wood. But I just think one of the sexiest qualities and one of the most badass thing is that these guitars that are most desirable are that way because they were in smoky bars, and smoky bars made them look the way they are, and they're the most
earned it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm such a geek with this shit, but yeah. So the distressing on it, I mean, you do it right. There's no doubt you do it right. There's some people that just completely fuck it up. I'm gonna have to go in and bleep that, but yeah, you do it right. Geeking out. I'm gonna shut up. Please continue.
Sure.
Yeah. All right.
Well, we we got the SL here. I'm going to talk about that a little bit before you get rid of that one. The SL is kind of like our flagship model that Gene's really known for, and you can get it dressed up a couple different ways. You can get it, just like with a top and mahogany body. You can get it with a figure top. You can get it with inlays and binding. So what Gene is holding right now is an SL Deluxe. So that's got all the decked out, aesthetic appointments. It's got a quilt top, a couple upgrades there. But the platform for the guitar can do a ton of different things, so
Is it coil
you can
split?
do it. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So what he's got right there, he's got our standard. It's kind of like a simplified version harness where you've got 2 volumes, with coil splits for each pickup, a master tone, and then a 3-way, and that same thing. We do like a 59 arrangement, which we'll show you a little bit later. It's 2 volume, 2 tone setup.
Is it split or is it parallel? Do you do series parallel or series split?
And those are split. Yeah.
Split.
Okay. So
Yeah.
folks listening, that's going to give you a very thin Strat and a fat Les Paul sound by doing that.
Right.
Now, if someone said they wanted parallel and series, you could do that as well.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Very
I
good.
mean, yeah, and we can get into like, custom, electronics layouts and schematics and stuff like that. So, but the standard guitars, maple top, mahogany body and neck. We do a lot of Carina bodies and necks. We've been having, some of our customers in Japan, especially, have been ordering like, maple burl tops and buckeye burl tops and getting into exotics and stuff. P90s, trims, longer scale length, like Ronnie Montrose was a big 20. So we've got a bunch of different options, with that. You can dress it up a bunch of different ways.
Very cool. Now, your audio just cut out on me when you said the scale length, and I don't know if that was on my end or your end. So just to be safe, what was that scale length that you said?
The normal scale length is Gibson 24 3/4, but
Ronnie's
Montrose
guitar.
was he was 25 and a half.
Okay.
So we can do 25 and a half on that. Yeah, 25 and a half scale on an SL is an option for sure.
So if
The
I
guitar-
call you and I say, listen, I want that guitar right there and a 25-inch scale length with a 14-inch radius. I want 5105 stainless steel, and I want a bloodwood fingerboard. That would be an option?
Done. Yeah, we can do it.
Okay, cool. People,
Yeah,
you can geek
It's
out
all
here.
fun.
All right,
Yeah.
cool. If your wallet's big enough, let's do it, right?
Yeah, I mean, we've got a price list that covers, like our most common requests from people. But I think there's only been maybe 1 or 2 times in the last year where we've actually said no to something. You know what I mean? We can typically pull it off.
What'd you say no to?
He's a
I'm
genius with
curious.
that stuff. Oh God, what do we say no to?
I think it was getting into body shape, so we actually don't build, and that
Oh, yeah.
trademark infringements.
Right. Yeah. There was some of that stuff.
Yeah.
Or just like, something that's going to be cost prohibitive, like if someone wants like a 1-piece neck of something super exotic, for us to get the material, it's just like $2,000 or something like that. It's just like, that doesn't really make sense, so
Yeah. And
sometimes
folks-
we'll say no just in what the interest is. Or, if someone gives us a bunch of requests and we're like, that's not going to sound good, or that's going to play like crap and be neck heavy, or, I mean, I think it's our responsibility to say, what, great ideas, but why don't we make 1 or 2 changes because we think you'll be happier with it,
Yeah, what most people don't realize is when you get to this level, I mean, this isn't a normal level boutique builder. This is someone that's been doing this their entire professional career. And Michael's been involved in guitars his entire professional career. Now you have this company that's making these things. When I'm a fat guy, when I go to a restaurant, I talk to the chef. I say, what do you recommend? Right?
Sure. Right.
I ask the chef, what do you recommend? What I do whenever I when I want to have a guitar made that is outside of my comfort zone, I let them know what the project is I'm working on and what I'm playing. The only thing that matters to me is scale length. That's it.
Sure.
And I go with what the builder says, because you need many tools in your arsenal. If you're a
Right.
studio guy, I'm a studio guy. I write for people. I work with many musicians. I'm lending out instruments constantly. What works for me on a different project may not be my go-to. My go-to is a weird guitar, but what I
Sure.
need for that project, I mean, this is, you call and you say, hey, my genre, this is what I'm doing. This is my budget. Can you make it work? And that's where I would back off. Just saying.
Right.
But anyway, where were we at?
Well, yeah, I mean, I was just, I was just kind of outlining the fact that it can be ordered a bunch of different ways, and like you said, like your go-to might not be the one that's right for that project, but every guitar starts with a conversation, and everybody's going to have a different application for it. So you could be a guy that's saying, hey, this is, my dream has been to have a guitar from Gene. I want it to do everything. All right, cool. That's one thing. Or you can say, you know what, I got 50 guitars and I want this to do this one thing really, really well. That's a different deal altogether.
Wow.
Oh, this is a gnarly guitar.
Yeah, is
All
that
right.
a Rosewood veneer on the top?
This one is actually a solid black, basically all black, none more black.
Yeah.
But what's kind of nuts about this one is, one, it's got the first set of like Trini style diamond inlays we do.
Oh, that's cool.
What else? It's got a Floyd, of course. Lawler Imperials again.
Do you do upgrades with the block or stock block from Floyd?
One more time?
Is that the stock block from Floyd you use, or do you?
Oh, actually, yeah. This one actually is a stock block. It's not a big FU block or anything that I know of.
Gotcha.
What else can I think of? But yeah, this is the first one we've ever done that's been a double bound, because it's void of the tummy contour.
Oh yeah, look at that.
And it's a lot of binding on this sucker, man. There's some serious layers of binding on this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you can't see with the video, that's it's 7 ply on the top and then 5 ply on the neck and on the back.
7 ply?
Yeah, so I mean, so the binding is just kind of decked out like a Les Paul custom, but
Jeez.
yeah, you can see a little bit better. So
Send me pictures, man. I'm gonna put this
that
in
thing
the
is, yeah, but that thing is like binding heaven. Yeah, simple but it's slick, man.
Oh, it works. It
Yeah.
works so well.
It's classy.
Yeah, and that's gonna age, and when that ages, ooh, that's gonna look.
Yeah, that'll be cool.
One thing a little different about this one is it's got a Sophia nut on it, which it's actually 6 individual lockings. You can change out the face of the nut to multiple different materials, from titanium, plastics, brass, stainless steel, and they can cut various radiuses.
Is that a 0 fret?
It basically, well, no, it's still just a Floyd nut in all reality, but made by Sophia. But it makes it kind of look like a 0 fret a little bit. What else can I think of? But what was neat about it is this headstock looks terrible with a Floyd string tree on it. And so with these nuts, actually the string tree is built into the nut, so it didn't create seating problems on the back end of a Floyd nut, which usually has a lot of angle going on. So this nut was like perfect for our headstock.
Yeah, it's sharp looking. And folks, if you're just hearing the audio, go to the website, gearguyspodcast.com. You got to see these guitars. I mean, they're absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah. Gene, why don't you grab the Dirty Lemon? We can talk about the 59s a little bit. So we've got a dealer, Denver Guitar Exchange, and you guessed it, in Denver. Van Millis, good buddy, and just an awesome all-around dude. He's a smaller shop. He does us. He does Echo Park, Nags, Banker. A couple of the smaller builders. But he's just been a champion of ours. And we were, I was sitting there chatting with him. I want to say like early summer, and he kind of voiced an idea that I think Gene and I have had, and many others have had, but he just wanted to bring it to fruition, and that is the SL Deluxe, just kind of revised to be as vintage correct to a 59 burst as humanly possible. So that's what Gene is holding in his hands right there. So we were talking about the controls earlier. This one is a 59 control, that you can order on an SL with 2 volumes, 2 tones. Where we did a lot of work. Well, not we. Gene did a lot of work on sourcing, the correct lumber. So we've got, Eastern hard rock tops that'll show like some fleck and stuff like that, like the old guitars did. 1-piece bodies, Brazilian boards, Holly, headstock veneers. Even built
mahogany. Well, hold on. 1-piece mahogany.
Yeah.
2-piece book match.
Yeah.
Flamed maple top.
Yeah. So show off the back a little bit. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, the mahogany looks like a piece of furniture, folks. You gotta see this if you're not seeing the video.
Yeah, and the tops that we got, we were like super selective and just getting like the right, coloration and stuff. Yeah, you know what? That's a great comparison there, Gene.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Here you're seeing just the headstock angle difference.
Yes. So
Yeah. So
What a
our
pitch
standard
difference.
our standard 10's on the left, and then the 59 with the vintage 17 is on the right.
that is something. Okay, so folks,
But there's
Gary.
no scarf joint. There's no scarf joint on that 17. That's all cut from one chunk of wood.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely.
So
Like
yeah,
one of my favorite guitars, and pretty much everyone's favorite guitar, is the Green Moore. That the 59
yeah,
Les Paul
right.
that Gary Moore, Peter Green used. That's now owned by
Hammett's got it.
Mr.
Yeah.
Metallica.
Yeah,
The headstock pitch. Now, again, I'm a weirdo. I respect frequencies. I respect math. Some of you don't. So as you pull back on the string, a lot of people like to use the Telecaster example of the string through the body and the string through the bridge, right? So as you change the angle of the string after it hits the saddle or the nut, you do change the frequency response. You don't change the tonality of the instrument, but you change the response that is going through the speaker and what you're hearing. So when people hear that 59 Les Paul and they say, oh man, there's just something that's special about it, that's what's special about it. It's the old specs. It's not the player. Yeah, the players were good that played them. It's not the exact piece of wood, because guess what? There's other trees. It's the specs of the guitar. So that right there is going to give you that Gary Moore sound with the sustain as it, it drops off. It's a very unique thing, and that headstock angle and bridge pitch. So
right.
yeah,
We've got like we are kind of breaking with tradition. We do have coil taps on these. They can be ordered without if you want to be a traditional guy. But we've got bumblebee caps. In the harness. Gene even built a jig, so we've got decals on the headstock for the logo. If you want to show that.
Oh yeah, this is getting back to the original silk screen that Gibson.
Yeah, like with the silk screen, right?
That's cool, man.
It's literally 3-dimensional. You can feel it because it's put on after it's buffed, which is what they did on the original Les Paul model silk screen. So just
I love your logo.
things.
It has religion aspects to the way that it looks in certain religions, but it's B3. I just love the way that you wrote it like that. It has, yeah.
And then with the 59 too, right now it's the only guitar that has our B3 pickups. So we've got those are our pickups, yeah. And we've got a dear buddy.
Walk us through what.
Yeah, so
5, 2, 3.
Think about your favorite set of PAFs that you've heard, and on spec, that's essentially what these are. Down to the wire, everything.
So
he's got, we're not giving away the exact sauce. I got it right here in front of me, but we're not giving away the exact sauce.
That's cool, man.
We haven't released him yet. This is still a very new thing. I think that guitar that Gene is holding maybe has like the second or third set ever. So they're very, very new, but right now we're just making them available in the SL59 just as kind of part of that, package,
Do you know the output of them?
I want to think they're like 7.2 and 7.7. I want to say
and
they're a little bit low.
And we actually have both kind of like a couple different sets. So there's kind of like a lower output. You could kind of say if you're going after a Lawler low wind or a Lawler Imperial, you're just real close to each other, but just enough to fatten them up. And like the low winds to me, or anything on the lower end, I normally wouldn't want to coil tap it because they're already low output and they just sound great by themselves. But when you start getting into the slightly hotter ones, then that kind of helps the coil tap situation, just so it isn't too small or something like that, or get too much of a volume drop.
Are you winding them yourself, or are you?
No. I
got a guy for you that can do winds, that does coil tap at low, that loses no volume. If you're,
I have this guy I've been working with closely for a good 4 or 5 years. That he's just a freak about PAFs, and he's bought a lot of the originals, tore them apart, made tons of various sets, and just really was going after all the right materials, right specs, right magnets, just everything. And then also kind of like tweaking on a little bit. So we can order up our straight vintage set. We can order slightly hotter if we want coil tapping, or honestly, sky's the limit. But right now we're just keeping it for this model as the 59, kind of just
Well, if
just
you can
being
get
a
that
great- a
59
great
sound,
PF.
man, that's I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you can't go wrong. Right now, the sound that everyone's drooling over is a 59 through a Klon Centaur through a basement circuit. People are going
Sure.
crazy about that right now.
Oh,
So
Yeah.
you get that. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. That's a good tone, right?
Oh yeah.
Amen.
Yeah. So
Um,
that's great.
Do you have another? You got another 59 in the rack, don't you, Gene?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gene's playing caddy the whole time in case.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Just listening.
So this is this is the same guitar. This one's
God, that's gorgeous.
this one's just a little bit different color, but on spec it's the same. I think, Gene, is that the beat up one or is that the aged one or?
Yeah, this one is. This is the
Yeah.
light age one.
Yeah. So that one's just a little bit distressed, but yeah, that's just kind of like the tomato soup washed out type of vibe.
But it looks so right. That's the thing. I'm only looking at it through Zoom right now, but
Yeah.
if you were holding a Les Paul from the from the 60s or 70s, I would swear that would be normal wear on something that someone brought out to a bar and played. I
Sure.
mean, to describe this, I mean, it's very cherry burst. It comes through. I don't know if it's
Yeah.
darker in person, but it's that cherry burst in the lime. So it's the 59 Les Paul that someone left the case open, right? They
Right.
left it out in
Yeah,
light.
faded a
They
little
got Yeah, faded a little bit. That's
Mhm.
what. Oh man, that's pearly gates right there. I mean, that's a beautiful.
Sure.
instrument.
And it's
Sure.
just been really interesting as we started getting into this. Just a lot of the materials are really getting harder and harder to source when it comes to like single piece bodies or even getting 12-quarter material for necks. So I get everything, quarter saw on the right enough height for that headstock and all.
Quarter saw necks.
And even the Brazilian, for that fact, it's getting extremely hard to find. But we even get into little details like the tortoiseshell side dots where you really got to get it in the right light. But it's just another little thing where you get that little glimmer from it, and it just kind of makes you smile. Just see that red flash of the tortoiseshell lighting up.
Yep. So so Rosewood is your stock fingerboard.
Yeah, Rosewood is standard, on well, actually on all the guitars. I mean, we offer ebony, we offer different variants of maple, bird's eye, flame, roasted. We've got zircote, a couple oddballs here and there.
That's very cool. That's very
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Luckily with these, we've been sourcing a very small amount of Brazilian, just because it's so gorgeous. But it's also really
Sure.
hard to find.
Definitely. You guys want to do one more guitar, then jump into your new series because we are going to be running up against the clock pretty soon.
Sure. Yeah. Why don't we jump into the ultra moderns? So yeah, so we've got the ultra moderns here.
Look at that cut.
Think this is our take on the super strat type of vibe, So
That's not
we
even
can
your
do
take,
it.
dude. That's a different guitar.
Yeah.
Let me describe this to you. The cut for you to reach down to those are 24 frets. I'm seeing the two dots. At the
On
bottom.
those are 24s. Yeah.
The cut is almost even with the 24th fret.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can
Yeah.
reach that.
It's pretty deep.
All right, I'm going to shut up.
So-
I'm gonna geek out.
So we do these in two versions. We do it in a 22 and a 24. So the 22 is a set neck with a headstock, and then what you're looking at is a 24 bolt-on headless.
Headless. Holy
Headless.
cow, didn't notice
So
that.
yeah, so it's a headless super strat type of vibe. So I mean, this is really just kind of like a culmination of all of our favorite stuff for that type of deal.
And that'll fit in
I
an overhead
think-
compartment.
It will.
Yeah.
Yeah. We got
Headless
little
guitars
shorty
get-
cases
yeah.
from G&G, man. They'll fit. I think kind of centralized the whole design is the Sophia hardware. Gene mentioned the nut on that black guitar that we had out earlier. But the 292 trim is what you see there. And I think did those have the stabilizing wheel, or are those the pros?
Oh yeah, they both got it. It
Yeah.
comes stock on all.
So-
There's the wheel.
Yeah. So this bridge here, you've got kind of like the fine tuners, but unlike a Floyd, and nothing against them. I mean, the Floyds are awesome and they do what they do well, but this is just, I mean, these are the best built bridges that I've come across, and I think the thing for me is that they're just so easy to adjust on the fly. You've got your fine tuning down there, but on the back of the guitar, if you're at a gig, and you can just by moving that wheel with your thumb super easily, you can move your entire guitar like 1 or 2%. on the fly, just like that. So that was a big part. And I think both of these are decked out with Fishman Fluence as well.
Oh, yeah.
So, so we just wire them with, volume tone, a 5-way. But then we've got minis to control the different voices on the Fluence, and we've got the battery pack in the back there. So
for those of you who don't know about Fishman Fluence pickups are single coils that have 0 hum and humbuckers, but they're both voiced differently. They have a new technology, or it was new a few years ago, but where you can get the sounds that you want without, having to switch guitars. You can literally voice. I have in a Strat, I have a Strat Tex-Mex, and then I think it's a 57. They go back and forth, and you can charge it in the wall, which is so freaking cool. Where do you guys put the battery pack on that?
The charge is just right on the back plate of the harness right there.
That is just badass.
Yeah. So it's just super convenient,
This one's kind of sick in a way. If you see the binding and the inlays too, this is actually all brass.
Brass binding.
Yeah. So we just started doing that. So brass inlays and brass binding, we just started getting into. It's if you can see it,
it's gonna look beautiful.
Exactly. Yeah. So it kind of plays like with the gold hardware type of vibe, but over time, you know what brass does, and it's just it's gonna look amazing, man. I think right now we're just doing fretboards because they're square corners. Gene still needs to figure out how to bend it to do bodies. I keep on busting his balls about doing that. It's a little bit easier said than done, but
you gotta press it.
One thing also kind of interesting about this one is it's a single piece Permabuco neck. So you can see a little bit, there's some flame koa going up the center. Jesus. And there's also a wangi up there from basically where the truss rod kind of loads in. But
this is better than porn.
They normally use Permabuco for making violin bows because the stuff is so extremely hard. But this stuff is the hardest material. I think it's harder than ebony. But it's just solid as a rock when you hold on to this thing. But both these guitars are also going to the Guitar Guru Network.
Yeah.
They're beautiful, beautiful instruments. What finish? That's like an Antigua finish from Fender, right?
It kind of, I call it Gold Top Mary because it's actually a Mary K in the center, and because you can actually still see the ash and all through it.
Oh, you can.
And then just put the gold top burst around it.
Oh, I gotta look at that on your
website.
website.
Gold Top Mary.
Yeah, the wood is not coming through on the video, but a little bit there.
But you can't see the grain through it. Yeah, like in person. It's,
one of my favorite finishes, like on a Jazz Master or anything like that, is Antigua.
I love it. Yeah.
1970s, I want to walk around barefoot and shag carpet type feel.
Sure, right.
Love that.
Does it, man? Yeah.
This other one is a little bit more rocking in a way because it's got black binding and it's got a gunmetal gray metallic finish. And even we did a kind of like the old school vinegar and steel wool trip on the neck. So it really kind of made this neck pop a lot, but it real pretty neck.
Look at the flame on that.
It makes the flame just jump out.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And all of these guitars are double loaded with a graphite. So one thing I found with working with this graphite is these necks are so solid they just stay in tune. Period. It's extremely stable is the only way I can say. But there's 2 1/4-inch rods, and it's actually a round rod. It's not a rectangle rod, but the round rod is just a lot stronger. But they run basically the full length of the board paralleling the truss rod, and it is a 2-way truss rod. One thing kind of nice about these Sophia nuts is they do get this built-in hanger, so you can literally hang the guitar from any guitar hook.
So you were saying that you have dual graphite rods with a dual truss rod?
You got it.
Yeah, not dual action truss rod.
Yeah, not a dual truss rod. Dual action.
It's a dual action truss rod, yeah. And then there's a graphite rod on either side of it, and that's just standard in all of our guitars. No, it's not going anywhere, man.
That in a snow pile overnight, and it wouldn't move.
Exactly.
Sure.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
What else can I think of? Oh, we've got to bust out this Phoenix for the new mods.
Yeah, real quick. So the SL is, kind of like our most popular model, and the Ultra Modern is something a little bit different. I say the Phoenix is right up there with the SL. So this, the body shape, just for listeners, it kind of looks from the front like a telly, But think about like a Telly and a Gibson Firebird procreated, and you got the Phoenix.
That's a
So
neck through?
yeah, so it's built like a Firebird. So it's a neck through with wings. So
Oh, yeah,
there you
look
can
at
see
it.
it pretty clearly on the back. So this is
What?
a Carina guitar. This is just a naked,
there's
guitar.
mahogany.
This
There's
mahogany.
one
Yeah. So that's just, a lot of wood shop that we're still working on, but it'll, give you a little bit of a look at what we're doing there. So, what's kind of new for the guitar? Yeah. So the tummy cut was on there, but, now we've got the arm carved there. And then one of the big things is where the neck joint comes in. We used to have a bit more of a traditional heel, but now we're doing that cool contour.
Oh,
So,
and stop you, man. You got a backstop
Yeah.
so you don't slide past. That's great.
Yeah. And so, you don't see it from the front, but it's just like super, it's like putting your hand on like the small of a woman's back, it's just like right there, man.
Mhm.
And we got this extra where Gene's finger's at there. We're calling it the Smuggler's Cove. So that goes underneath the pick guard, and it's just weight relief. You know what I mean? And just lightens up the guitar a couple ounces. So anything that's going to shave off, weight here and there, we're all for. So
Are you doing a mini bucker or a P90 in the neck?
that one's going to get a P90.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah.
even if we want to, we can put added electronics over here, but we use this
Sure.
for running a lot of our wires. But yeah, the Smuggler's Cove.
You should put momentary
Yeah.
pilot switches and all those. That's just my opinion.
Right.
Switches and everything. yeah.
Yeah, but the Phoenix, what I mean, and we can do it with humbuckers, P90s, you name it, the world's our oyster. But what most of the Phoenixes get set up with is a Lawler mini humbucker in the neck in the middle position, and then a special T in the bridge, like the mini Telly. And
Jason
we've got
makes great pickups.
he's great to work with. His stuff is just amazing. We've got a company in Nashville called API that makes all our bridges for us. And it's, our version kind of like of the, Telly ashtray with, grass saddles, the whole nine. And then we'll do that, volume tone 5-way coil taps. So, it kind of doubles your tonal palette there. So
That's awesome.
that's that one. Yeah.
Well, we are running up against the clock, and I want to get your new
Sure.
model in. So we got about 6 minutes left. Let's go into
Sure.
now, folks. This is something really cool. So we didn't talk about prices yet. Before we get into the new model, what is your stock base of the model baseline start at?
4,500 is where
For
we
American
start
made.
at. Yeah, where we start at for the American made. And well appointed, it can get up to like the low sixes, depending on the model and what you've got.
Absolutely. And your new model is for the guys and the gals that want something of the quality that set standard. Like you can't get custom shop models on these, right?
Right. Yeah. So what Gene's got there is based on our SL. We call it the SLK. And it is built by a company that Gene's had a relationship with for over 2 decades now, Okada International in Japan.
Japan, not Korean, folks. Japanese.
Japan,
I
right.
don't know what's up with them.
So where the SL starts at 45 and goes to 55 in that price range typically, these are $21.95. So the what's the designer's name?
Kuchi.
Yoshi Kikuchi. Yeah. So Gene's known him for a long time. He is the one that was actually responsible for the Sadowski Metro stuff, if you're familiar with those basses. And the quality control over there is just like second to none. So, Gene worked hand in hand with him for a long time. And these guitars here are built with the exact same, CAD programs and all the stuff that we do our US stuff with. It's just overseas. I am just floored with these guitars, man. They're awesome for the money, and I think they really, really nailed it.
I was watching you play that on Facebook. I was like, come on.
Yeah.
That can't be that price.
Like even when you get it in the neck, there's no scarf joints. You got our same thick heel, so they're starting with an 8/4 billet, just like I do. And there's no earlobes, so that headstock's a single piece. They just do it exactly the way I do it. And their finishes, these are a real thin acrylic urethane. So it's a high-tech finish, which is exactly the same kind of stuff I was using out of the original Baker Guitar Shop in Santa Maria. But it's just a gorgeous finish. You know, they're flawless, and they don't get that big thick buildup that you would see from like polyester finishes that kind of usually make me gag, and it looks like Korean guitars. But Japan just does such nice work. They make me look good every single day. So I'm really happy to work with these guys.
The Japanese luthiers. There's Japanese luthiers out there that'll give an American luthier a run for their money. And guitar builders is pretty much what we have left. As a country, where we do something that the rest of the world looks at us and says, we can't do that good. It used to be whiskey, Japanese. Well, you know what? Japanese make good whiskey now too. Japanese luthiers learned, and they learned well. And all the Japanese guitars I have from Fender, from just anybody, it's a total difference from if you pick up a Korean made guitar. And anybody listening, don't think, oh, it's made in Japan. It's not like that. They're really good. So same specs, right? Same everything.
Yeah, I mean that's actually that's our standard seed neck profile. It's the same guitar that we put on the majority of our U.S. instruments. Same neck joints, same tenon, the whole nine, exact same dims. I mean the finish is a little bit different. I think those have Goto hardware. Yeah. For the tuners and for the bridge. But aside from that, man, I mean everything's right on point. Hardware is a little bit different, but same function there. Still has the coil taps, and it's the urethane finish that's that Gene was using. It's not lacquer, but aside from that, it's right on point.
I want to explain this to people because the folks, I don't think people are going to relate this. So if you go to any major retailer right now and go pick up a modern playing Les Paul, you're going to find similar features. The way that the neck is, the tenon's done, the way that the pickups are done with coil tapping and so forth. And to get a guitar that looks like this, you're going to be spending north of $3,500 with hard shell case, and you're going to get something that may not be dressed appropriately because let's face it, the Gibson factory, even though that they're under new management and new direction, they're still the same people making the same mistakes, and it'll take some time to fix that. I have no doubt in my mind that Gene you would not put out an instrument that was not playable. So they're set up correct. You don't need to worry about that. And you're getting similar specs, if not better. I mean, you don't get Goto hardware on a stock Les Paul. You get what is made for Gibson within their price range. Most people replace what Gibson has with what you have stock, and you're about $1,000 less for the same thing. And as long as people can get past the fact that Joe Schmo that was in the factory carving this and working with it and working the wood was just in a different part of the world, I don't see why anybody shouldn't jump on this if they want that traditional Gibson sound with the modern amenities. So there's my rant on it, but I know you want to play it, so let's hear it a little bit.
Sure.
And one thing that's kind of cool about this is my personal Baker model, my frets are worn out, so I need to refret that thing very badly. So this has become my main guitar for the past 4 months now. And it only took me a couple days to really say, man, this kind of feels like my guitar. So that was really kind of cool.
I don't normally edit the show, but I'm going to edit that and have some horrible guitar music playing.
Do it.
Developers should not play that well. What is your signal chain right now, just for the people so they know what they're hearing?
Oh, yeah, they're actually playing through a Headrush pedal board. It's the big board, not the small board. But I got into Headrush when they first came out, and it's just a killer board. I use it more for all of our small gigs, basically when taking out half stacks or even 212s are too much. So with the Headrush, I just go PA direct, or even a lot of times we do silent rehearsals. So we got headphones strapped on and works out excellent.
Yeah, that was a good sound. So we are up against the clock. We only have a few minutes left. Let's get some closing words from each of you. Also, where people can buy your instruments. If there's anybody out there right now promoting your instruments that you want to promote, this is the time to do it. Michael, why don't we start with you?
Sure. Well, the main home of B3 Guitars is just b3guitars.com. You can find out information about all of our different models, pricing. We've got video content up there, and we've got a shop. So you can look at. We've got all the SLKs that are available right now. They come in 10 different finishes. Sunburst, solid colors, trans colors, you name it. $21.95 plus shipping worldwide, and they're all available on our site. And we have financing with a firm as well. So you can, just apply for that. It takes a couple minutes and you're good to go there. And then, for all the Gene Baker and B3 fans, we've got all kinds of swag too. We got shirts, hoodies, hats, shot glasses, mugs, coasters, stickers, you name it. We got cases, picks, all that crap.
I get a shirt with his picture on it that he sent me when he was in the dentist chair.
Yeah.
I'll forward that to you.
Yeah, we can do that. Sure,
I would
man.
love that. I would rock that.
There you go. That's a good one. Yeah, but just B3 Guitars on Facebook, B3 Guitars on Instagram, B3 on YouTube. That's where we're at, man.
Cool. Gene, closing statements, bro.
We're just here to build better guitars and give musicians better tools. If you're looking for an artist, you can check out Ron De Jesus. He plays with Rock Candy Funk Party with Bonamassa. We just built him a really cool Phoenix that is pretty different. We call it El Duro, and he even has a Tele bridge pickup in the middle, which is kind of interesting with two P90s for neck and bridge. But there's just having fun doing what we do.
That's awesome. All right, folks. So, my closing statement will have more impact today because your guy plays with Bonamassa with what I say. So, folks, if you're on social media, we're a community. Stop busting each other's balls. Come together. Help each other. Be creative. Write music. And really appreciate one another for what we're doing. Someone may have questions that is just learning. Stop the bullshit. Really come together. Our industry needs you. There's a lot of people unemployed. There's a lot of people that have uncertainty about what they're doing. It's our time to step up. And like always, Joe Bonamassa, stop buying all the cool shit. Leave some stuff on the market for guys like me.
I got one last thing. A lot of people wonder about this slogan.
Yeah.
To us, it's the primal sound. So
primal sound. That's
right. Yep.
Hell yeah,
exactly.
Man. So, folks, take care. Until next time, be kind to each other.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for Ricky's Picks.
Well, hey guys, I'm back again for another edition of Ricky's Picks. Love the camera angle, probably the worst one on the internet, but you got to deal with it. I scour Spotify for some of the best unsigned, underappreciated, or just unknown bands to the American audience. There may even be a hit or two amongst the bunch. Imagine that. Going to kick it off with the Young Hearts, Still Wander. They're a nice UK band, solemn lyrics, cool beat, good melody. They've been around a little while, but it sounds like they found their footing. Nice to see. I have a hard time saying this band's name. I get a little spittle in the corner of my mouth. But the Moon City Masters, their song Taking It Back, it'll make you smile whether you like it or not. You're going to forget your troubles and you're just going to bop along. Cat Stevens said it's a wild world out there. It is. This will make you forget it all. We have Mammoth WVH. It's Eddie Van Halen's son, Wolfgang. His song You Are to Blame is a chugging follow-up to that beautiful tribute to his dad's. I dare you to listen to that song and not cry. This is completely different. It's a chugging rocker. If I haven't mentioned that before, I probably have. But you know what? We're going to say it again. Chugging rocker. Say it 3 times. Chugging rocker, chugging rocker, chugging rocker. If you like Shine Down, if you like that mid-2000s sound, this is just for you. I love this song. Cadillac 3's Road Soda. Rock guitars, country style lyrics. Have you ever been to a Waffle House? They have these lyrics, she's sweeter than sweet tea. That's all you need to know. And if you've been to a Waffle House, you will know. Drink that sweet tea, it sticks to your teeth. Hot Breath's Bad Feeling. Part glam, part punk, part garage rock. It's all fun. Up next, we have the Dust Coated Jimmy 2 Times. It's a funky tune that tells a story. It's kind of like Smooth Criminal, a little harder. Be sure to check out their very entertaining video on YouTube. Suddenly I pause for no reason. Again, we'll take care of an editing, or maybe we won't. It's all right. We'll just just keep going. King, never give in. How does a UK band have such a Texas rock sound? I don't know, but they do it pretty well. I dig it. Johnny Monaco's LA Vacation. I just rediscovered this. This was from a few years back. It's Elvis Costello as if he was born and raised in California, throwing a tiny bit of Brian Wilson, throwing a tiny bit of 90s of that pop punk. I think it's biographical, but who am I to say? PJ Farley's Let It Rain. It's jazzy, it's laid back. I start off sipping the wine when I listen to this song. I'm chugging it by the end. The guitars kick in. It's got a lot of layers. PJ was part of the classic 80s hard rock scene. He's really come a long way. I dig it. We have the Dead Daisies, Holy Ground. Well, holy moly. These are veteran rockers. They're showing the kids how it's done. It's a real all-star lineup, but they don't sound rooted in their classic sounds. Glenn Hughes' voice still cranks. He's been in Black Sabbath, Deep Purple, too many bands to mention. He's better than kids a third of his age. And yes, he's been around that long, that there are singers out there that are a third of his age. Finally, we have my favorite band from Manchester. These lads, Thunder. Last one, Turn Out the Lights. Danny Bowes delivers a great vocal. He's got urgency. He doesn't sound out of place with today's Black Honey, Dirty Honey, the honey bands. There's so many honey bands out there. It's diabetes for music, I guess. These are slightly older guys doing their thing. Welcome back. Their last album was Too Laid Back. This one is just rocking right along. Want to be considered for Ricky's Picks? Email me your Spotify link, rick@gearguyspodcast.com. I'll see what I can do. Send me a t-shirt. Hey, I'll wear it on the air. Thanks. Be well. Sorry for stinking.